Hi, it's Sherri from A Quilting Life, and I'm here today with a Blockhead 6 update. Today is actually my day for the Blockhead Sew Along, and so I thought I'd share all of the blocks that I've made up to this point and give you a quick tutorial for my block. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we are in week 8 of the sew along. Let me just start by going through the blocks, starting with block 1. And I am using just scraps from a variety of our collections. Block 2, some of these I've shared before on my works in progress. Block 3, block 4, block 5 is one of my favorites. This is actually Chelsea's block. Block 6 just really threw me for a loop when I started making my block. I did not realize we had some 18-inch blocks in here, so I was totally shocked. This is Robin Pickens' block, and then block 7, this is Joanna Figueroa's block, and it is also an 18-inch block. And here we have Sandcastles, my block, back to the 9-inch size. So yeah, I was really surprised when I had these bigger blocks to make. I'm just going to show you a few things. The way the pattern is written, this fabric and this fabric can be different. And I just kind of really liked the continuity of the Ohio Star pieces all being from one fabric. So I will give you that information there on the sheet. So these two pieces are actually the B pieces, and these two pieces are the D pieces. So I use the same fabric for B and D if you want to do that the same. Another thing that I'll tell you, if you listened to our podcast earlier this week, you might have heard, this is actually my second version of this block. I used a different fabric in my first block for these pieces, which are the C pieces. And I used a directional print, and I just really did not like how it looked because I couldn't get everything to match up. You know, it doesn't matter so much with the gingham in here, but where they met right here, I just really didn't love it, and so I redid my block. I actually kept my 4 outer corners from my first block. But let me just tell you, you're going to be making 5 quarter square triangles, and then these are just easy corner pieces. I've got some little samples to show you. So for the easy corner pieces, it's just a 3.5-inch square and then a 1.5-inch square. And you can either draw the diagonal line there and sew it and press, or you can use, longtime viewers know, I always use the mini simple folded corners ruler for that. So yeah, so you'll make 4 of these units. I'm actually probably going to make another block with my samples just in case I need one. I really love this block. Okay, but for the quarter square triangles, the pattern has you cutting squares and then cutting them in half twice diagonally. So you end up with lots of little triangles. And they do have bias edges right here that you'll need to just be careful not to stretch, but they're oversized. So we're going to trim them down, and I'm actually going to show you that trimming really quick. So for example, this block right here would be put together, and I'm just using these green fabrics instead of the orange. And everything is mapped out for you on the pattern. So you can just follow along from your A, B, C, D, E. You can just follow along on the pattern where they go. But anyway, you will sew 2 of these together, and then you will sew these 2 together. Just flip them over, right sides together, and sew right there, 1/4 inch. Flip these 2 right sides together and sew 1/4 inch. And then if you press both toward the dark fabric, then when you put it together, you can have it nest and you can even flip that little center out. Okay, now as I mentioned, these are going to come out just a bit larger than you need for your block, and so I'm just going to show you really quickly how you can easily trim it. So these blocks need to be 3.5 inches before they're sewn into your block, and so we are going to trim. And you can use any ruler that has a diagonal line. I love this fit to be quarter because it has additional markings that help you line it up. But really, all you need is a diagonal line and the measurements that go every quarter. Okay, so we want this to be 3.5 inches. So this midway point is going to be 1 3/4 of an inch, because 1 3/4 and 1 3/4 is 3.5. So I'm going to look for my 1 3/4 inch line on both sides of my ruler and get that lined up. And then I try to keep my diagonal line right on that diagonal seam. You can see there's just going to be a little bit to trim here and here. I always make sure that my 1/2 inch is there, because sometimes it's easy to get the ruler off, but it is there. So I'm going to trim these two sides first. And then I'm going to flip my block. And now I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I know that I'm going to line it up on this side with the 3.5 and down at the bottom with the 3.5. I'm going to make sure that my 1 3/4 lines meet right there in the middle. And I'm ready to trim. And like I said, sometimes I don't have a really sharp blade in here today. Sorry about that. Anyway, that will give you the perfect 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch quarter square triangle. And if you trim them all to size, it really is a breeze putting them together. Each one will be, you know, next to a corner block except for the middle. And anyway, it's just a really fun block. I really think an entire quilt made with this would be a lot of fun, but I hope you enjoy making it. I hope you enjoy sewing along with the Moda Blockheads. Moda also has videos every single week with a tutorial, and it's just been really fun to see all of the different color combinations that everyone is using for this sew along. Okay, so that's it for my sandcastle block. I hope that you enjoyed it and have fun making it. As I mentioned earlier, all of these block patterns are free. You can download them from the Moda website. I actually have a blog post every single week with my block, and where I just talk about the fabrics that I used and my tips and tricks. We'll just film videos here and there throughout this sew along. We did film an intro video, but it was my week this week, so I thought we'd film this one today. And if you enjoyed this video, please share it with a friend, hit the like button, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for stopping by.